Chapter 96. Chapter 96 is talking about cutting sharp, spicy, what do you want to call it? Things that are harif. How do you say harif in English?
Pilpilim.
What?
Pilpilim.
Pilpili?
Pilpil. Chilies.
Pilpili, yeah, like peppers and things like
Onions.
that. Cutting sharp things with a knife. The word sharp has a double meaning. A knife is sharp, and also horseradish is sharp. But in any case, cutting hot things, spicy things with a knife. Okay, there's a really nice Taz over it that really sort of explains everything. But I'll just say it from the outside. In general, we're learning these laws in a very superficial way. I mean, we are learning them. Okay, there's a law that says like this, which we learned before, that if you have a knife or a spoon or whatever, and this is Eino ben Yoma, in other words, it became fleshik or milchik or treif. Let's say it was used by a goy to stir up his rabbit stew or something. And it became treif more than one day ago. It was used more than 24 hours ago. So we say that spoon or that knife or whatever is milchik or fleshik or treif. It still is, yes, but only lechatchila. It is forbidden to use this knife with milk or the spoon with meat, whatever it was, or to use this unkosher spoon with either one. But if you did use it, bidiavad, then because it was more than one day old, it doesn't make the thing that you cut or you stirred or whatever, it doesn't make it forbidden, or it doesn't make it milchik or fleshik. Okay, so let's take now more the example of a knife. Let's take the example of a knife especially. So you have a fleshik knife, you cut this boiling hot soup, boiling hot meat. And then you have another knife, you cut boiling hot cheese. And then you have another knife and you cut boiling hot rabbit with this knife. So all these three knives, one is milchik, one is fleshik, and one is forbidden. So if you waited one full day after you cut this meat and the milk and the rabbit, one full day, these knives still remain fleshik, milchik, and forbidden. They still remain so. And you can't use the fleshik one with milk and the milchik one with flesh. But if you did use them, then the food that you cut is not milchik or fleshik. It has no effect on the food. Why? Because the taste is a dead taste. It's an old taste. Says the Shulchan Aruch, when is this talking about if the food is not sharp? But if the food is sharp like a radish or like a beet, I don't know why they pick beets, but that's what the Gemara says, beets, even though beets are not that sharp, I guess. I guess when they make borscht, it has this little tangy taste to it. Or we're going to learn later on, onions, garlic. So there's two opinions about this. According to all opinions, if you cut a sharp thing with this knife, even though the knife is more than one day old, and it does not have the power bidiavad to make anything forbidden, but if it's cut it into a sharp thing, then the sharpness wakes up the taste and makes this onion, for instance, you cut into, or this radish, it makes it milchik or fleshik or forbidden, depending on which knife you cut it with. How much of that radish becomes forbidden? We just finished learning only one finger breadth from where the knife was cut, on one side, on the other side, both sides. If it's sharp, because sharpness wakes it up. This comes from a Gemara in Chulin. And the Gemara says that sharp things wake up old tastes. But there's only one thing that is sharp. And that's what's called charit shel chalsis. Koret shel chalsis. A piece of chalsis. What is chalsis? I have absolutely no idea. It's some sort of a really, really hot, sharp veg. Maybe it's like super hot peppers or something, because it says it burns the stomach of the animals that eat it. I think that there's
not charoses.
No, not charoses. No, not horseradish. We'll learn about horseradish later. Horseradish is nothing compared. There's nothing like this. This stuff is atomic. I don't know what it is, but it's really a. I remember once I was in a plane. I was in a plane in America, and I saw on the other side of the aisle. That there was someone with this little book, a little pamphlet on it, and it had these little pictures of, drawings of people with like steam coming out of their eyes and fire coming out of their ears and fire coming out of then like the top of their head blown off with a big, just like a little drawing, very, amateur drawing. So I said to him, what is that? I looked at the thing. It didn't look like it was some sort of a sadistic comic book or something. I said, what is it? He said, oh, it's spices. It's talking about spices. I really like spices. So this guy was into spices. And there's like, taco, what is it? The hot chili sauce. And then they have like hot chili sauce. And then they have like atomic chili sauce, hydrogen bomb sauce, and, super hell, sauce. And there's just pictures of people, they just drawings, people. Oh, I can't have to have hot stuff in my food. And they have like pepper spray, there's pepper, the police use pepper spray. So there's foods that are very, very, very sharp. Well, it seems, according to this opinion, this koret shel chalsis, that koret shel chalsis is even sharper than any of these things. And some people say that that's the only thing that will wake up an old taste. That's one opinion. And there, the Shulchan Aruch, if you remember, he brings that opinion first. He says if a person cuts into a radish or a beet with an old knife, a knife that was more than a day old, then it doesn't do anything. You just have to wash it off. It does nothing. But he says, yesh omrim, some people say that even if a knife is Eino ben Yoma, it also wakes it up. Some people say that if the knife is not ben Yoma, it also wakes up the taste. So that's the opinion that it seems to be that he's going according to. Okay. Do we have time? Maybe we have a minute. All right. So the law is a little bit delicate, and it goes like this. Let's say you have a fleshika radish, and you cut this radish up with an old fleshik knife, and it's the only radish you've got, and you really want to use this radish in your mirror, your curds and whey, whatever it is, your milk cereal. Right? Your son really loves it. Radishes and cottage cheese. He won't eat anything else. He wants it all cooked up. You have to cook it all up together. That's the only thing he'll eat. Refuses to eat anything. Radishes. So I say, what am I going to do now? I cut this radish. Oh man, I cut the radish with a fleshika knife. Now that made the radish fleshik. So he goes to the rabbi, and who is the rabbi? You. What do I do, rabbi? So that you open up the book and say, listen, is it a big radish? Yeah, it's a big radish. So if it's a big radish, I got a good advice for you, right? Cut off one finger breadth on each side of where you cut the knife, the radish through, and the whole rest of the thing is permissible. That's good. He says, yeah, but Rabbi, I want you to know something. My son, he's like really, really super ultra orthodox. I mean, if he finds out in the Shulchan Aruch that there's a more severe opinion, then he's not going to eat it. I'm really in hot water. Then not only will he not eat the curds and wheys, he won't want anything to do with me. He might leave the house. Say, okay, so then listen. Then don't give it to him, because there's another opinion, the Ramah brings it, that if you cut a radish with a fleshika knife, even if it's an old fleshika knife, it was made fleshik more than a day ago, some people say that the taste of that meat spreads out through the whole radish. You don't know where it goes. It's in the whole radish, so that you cannot use that radish in milk. So therefore, don't give it to him. So you say, listen, but on the other hand, sometimes my son he loves this kaddish with radishes boiled together. You have to cook together. He loves it so much that he's willing to do anything for it. He'll mechalel Shabbos for this. He says, oh, if that's the case, then there's the most lenient opinion. And the lenient opinion says that if that knife was not ben yom, was more than a day, then the radish doesn't. The only thing that brings out the taste, that renews it, is that this koret shel chalsis, this super hot stuff that nobody knows what it is. And radishes don't wake up the taste. So see what your son's mood is in. If your son is like really, going crazy, he's really like obsessive about this hot cottage cheese with the radish in it. So tell him you can't give it to him because you made a mistake. You made a mistake. But if he's really hot, that he would even really do an avera, so tell him, listen, you can go according to the lenient opinion that it doesn't do anything. A radish does not wake up an old taste. So in other words, here we have 3 levels. The most severe opinion says that if you cut a radish with a fleshik knife, then the whole entire radish is forbidden to use in milk. Opinion number 1. Opinion number 2, if you cut a radish with a fleshik knife, all you have to do is take kadei klipa from both sides of the cut. Opinion number 3, which is the most lenient, if you cut a radish with a fleshik knife and that knife is not ben yoma, then the radish does nothing. If the knife was dirty, you just have to wipe off the sides, maybe scrape it off. That's it. As we'll learn, God willing, more tomorrow. See you at 8:15.